How to avoid the most common Christmas plumbing mistakes. I'd like to say a special thanks to Logotology. They do my branding for my shirts and embroidery work, but this was something special they threw in. Logotology right here in Richardson, Texas does great things for me, and I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all. Now, the last thing you want is to have a sewer backup or to have a problem so bad that it really messes up your Christmas plans. I've received this call on Christmas Eve.
Our sewer's backed up, our toilets are backed up, everything's overflowing, and we're in the middle of cooking Christmas dinner. Can you get someone over here right now?
I hate to tell you this, plumbers really don't want to get out on Christmas Eve either. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is knowing what problems you can avoid, what things you can do to keep you from having emergency plumbing calls this holiday season. The last thing a plumber wants to do is come out on Christmas Eve to help take care of your problem. Don't get me wrong, we understand, but there's certain things that if you think about in advance, you can avoid to keep you from having any plumbing emergencies. Number one, know what you can and cannot put down your drain. So let's start with your kitchen sink. What can you and what cannot you put down the drain? Really, guys? This is pretty simple. Don't put anything down there that's going to clog up your garbage disposal or your drain. Now, certain things you know you should not put down. Eggshells, pasta, fog. What is fog? Fats, oils, and greases. Guys, this actually makes anything else you put down your drain stop up a whole lot easier. Really, what should you put down your drain? Just the food particles on the plate. I know it's called a garbage disposal. You don't put garbage in it, okay? It is literally a food waste disposal. And this is after you dump the plate of food in the trash, now you rinse it off, and all those food particles that build up in there, that helps dissolve those up so they can go down. These aren't sharp razor blades in there where they just liquefy everything. They grind it up, but that's about it. I have actually gone to a house that had put eggshells and a ton of them. They had a family member over. The family member wanted to cook omelets the next day for everybody. When he broke the eggs and put the yolk in the bowl, he put all the eggshells in the garbage disposal. What it did is it didn't stop up the garbage disposal. They went down the drain and they clogged up the drain, so it stopped up both sides of the sink. Certain things you really don't want to put down the drain. Cabbage, lettuce, celery, rice, pasta, anything at all that can literally just get in there and get ground up into a mulch that could just get stuck in there, guys, it causes problem. What can you put down in the drain? You can put down things like the food particles on the plate, like I said. That's it. Dump your plate in the trash, rinse it off. When you need to, turn on your garbage disposal. That's about all you put into the sink. You don't put in paints. You don't put in motor oil. You don't put in anything at all that just isn't meant to go. If it comes off a plate and it just rinses off, that's about it. Now, what about your toilet? What can you and can't you put down the toilet? To be honest, it blows my mind what they're saying these days that are flushable. Baby wipes, diapers. There is now flushable diapers, flushable baby diapers, maybe adult too, I don't know. Think about how big that is. It may be flushable, it may be biodegradable, but it's got to get all the way down your drain first. Guys, that's not going to happen. That leads to fatbergs. You get all the trash, all the garbage, all the fog, everything that goes down drains, and it all gets stuck and starts building up in the sewer. Think I'm joking? Look it up. Here's the deal. Toilets are just like kitchen sinks. They're made for a reason. The reason is to get rid of your poop, your toilet paper, and your urine. That's it. Anything else really doesn't need to go down the toilet. That's what the trash can's for, right next to it. So we've talked about putting the wrong things down your sink. We've talked about putting the wrong things in the toilet. But let me ask you this. What do you do if you did do that? Don't use a chemical drain cleaner. Why? Guys, it doesn't matter what they say. It's not good for your pipes. Here's what it does. It gets in there and dissolves and melts up some of this stuff. Now, if you've got a crayon in there and you melt it down and it builds up and putties in there, eventually it's going to create some more stoppages. Guys, chemical drain cleaners do about the same thing. It may break stuff down by dissolving it, but it doesn't just turn it into water and make it wash away. It makes it gunky and yucky and sticky. That's going to lead to clogging your drain or creating bigger problems later on. Now, I know I've always said they're acidic. People say they're alkaline. Guys, it doesn't matter. It messes up your pipes. We have seen it as plumbers plumbers over the years where people say, oh God, yeah, I've poured a drain cleaner here for years. Now it's not working. Well, no, it's eating out the bottom of your cast iron pipes. It does. It's called channel rot. Plumbers see it all the time. Guys, go to the hardware store. Rent a small sewer machine if you need to. If you don't want to call a plumber, that's fine, but do it the right way. And all you guys that jump in and say, oh, he doesn't want us to use drain cleaners just because he's trying to get you to call a plumber. Guys, I've got other videos where I teach you how not to call a plumber. So if you really believe that, I feel sorry for you. Now, if you live up north, this is something you get used to a lot. Down here in the south, you know what? Our winters, it gets down to about 70. Okay, maybe not. It does get cold sometimes. If you're going on a vacation, how do you winterize your house? Or maybe you've got a house that's for sale and you're going out of town and nobody's living in it. What do you need to do to winterize your house? Well, first of all, you need to try to shut the water off at the meter and drain down the pipes if you can. Now, sometimes that's a possibility, sometimes it isn't. Used to, whenever we put valve boxes right in front of the house, we always put a drain in to where you could drain down the house. And then there used to be the old stop and waste. Now, we've got away from that habit, but here's the deal. You may need to drain that house down sometimes. The right way to do it is to turn off the water, open all the fixtures in the house, and then crack the meter loose. Let that water drain down. Or if you do have a drain valve, open it up. That's going to help take down a lot of water. Now, if you think it's going to get really cold, you may want to bring air in and blow it out each fixture independently. That's going to lead to a lot of work, but if you really think you're going to have a problem, that could help. Now, if it's really going to get cold and you're really afraid of a freeze happening inside your house, make sure you empty your toilet tanks and the bowls. Anything that can hold water like that could possibly freeze and could possibly break. Now, freeze breaks in water lines are normally caused by the pressure when it thaws back out. And I understand that. So make sure you've either got all the water out or everything open where there's going to be no pressure on either side. That way the water has somewhere to go when it expands. So one of the big things to remember too is if you've got pipes that are on an exterior wall and they're in a cabinet and you can open that cabinet to let the heat in, that's going to help. If it's freezing on the outside, warm on the inside, hopefully it balances out somewhere in between. Now, if you're really not sure if it's going to freeze that hard or not, but you want to be safe, let it drip. And I've got some lines that are ran up through the attic that go to a wet bar we installed. And literally, every time I know it's going to freeze, I go up to that bar faucet, turn it on hot and cold just to let it drip. Moving water isn't supposed to freeze. Now, guys, it's always worked for me, but I also have a bathtub shower on an outside wall. So my thing is that tub and shower valve I know is warm on the inside. So I don't worry about it near as bad. But I've got a toilet on that same wall that sometimes I do worry about. But remember, it's still warm in that bathroom. The only things that you really need to worry about are your frost proofs or your yard hydrants outside. If there's any way to protect them, wrap them up, cover them, even the little styrofoam covers are great. I would recommend putting some rags around it first and then put that on. That gives you just a little bit more protection. And of course, if you've got pipes on an exterior wall, this has happened to before, you may want to get one of those electrical tapes with a thermostat that wrap around it and heat up once it gets down to a certain temperature. Guys, if you've had freeze breaks or anything like that before, do me a favor, leave a comment down below and let me know what you ended up doing. And has it happened again? Another thing not to put down the kitchen sink, guys, when you're cooking that turkey and everything and you just want to pour that juice in there, don't do it. There's a lot of oil, a lot of grease in there, and it's going to end up in your sewer line. It's also going to lead to problems. Another thing you never want to put down any drain are medications. Get rid of them properly. Either carry them down to the police department, fire department, and say, hey, look, these are some old medications I need to get rid of, because you don't want those medications to get into the sewer system and eventually end up in our water supply system. Guys, that's where it all goes. So guys, I hope you learned how to avoid the most common Christmas plumbing mistakes. And I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber. I'll see you on the next video if you don't get flushed.